My name's Kevin.
And I'm Chester. And this is our privacy project.
So, our main question was, does surveillance improve safety? And if it does, is it worth losing your privacy for it? The article we chose was Cameras Surveillance Within the UK, Enhancing Public Safety or Social Threat. And this was written by Barry Sheldon. Surveillance cameras are now well established within the UK and have featured within public spaces for many years. Despite government interventions through the legislative process, real concerns still remain about the lack of control and regulation and their intrusive nature. There is no real way to determine and gather the exact data to how much crime it could prevent. The intrusion on private life should carefully be evaluated because of the ratio of how much it actually prevents crime. In the article, we found the question of, do they significantly contribute to public safety and prevention of crime and terrorist activity, or are they becoming a blot on landscape, unnecessarily interfering with private lives? And in the book 1984, Orwell discusses that the people of Oceania were promised safety in return for their cooperation with a government that is not in fact what happened. The people of Oceania gave up both safety and privacy and were now forced to live in corrupt society. The evidence of that was Winston kept his back turned to the telescreen. It was safer though, as well as he knew. Even a back can be revealing. So, connecting to the article, we thought that they both were similar, as in, even if you weren't doing something wrong, just because of something watching you, it makes you feel like you need to be more careful of everyday life things.
Okay, so the poem we chose was If I Could Tell You by W.H. Auden. And the poem If I Could Tell You by W.H. Auden is a villanelle that details how time will one day tell us, I told you so. Novel 1984, written by George Orwell, is a dystopian fiction novel written to encourage its audience to reflect on the current social and political issues. The thesis that we decided to write was If I Could Tell You So, in 1984, two works of literature that can relate on the basis of time bringing disappointment. In 1984, this is shown through the disappointment of what the future turns out to be, and in If I Could Tell You, it is shown through repetitive distinctions of how only time can tell, and it will continually show us mistakes bound to happen. So our body paragraph 1 structure would begin with the topic sentence. If I Could Tell You uses its structure for emphasis in order to communicate the idea of the theme of time bringing disappointment. And the quote we chose for that was, the winds must come from somewhere when they blow. There must be reasons why the leaves decay. Time will say nothing but I told you so. And that was on stanza 4. And the explanation would be, the poem If I Could Tell You by W.H. Auden uses its Villanellian structure in order to emphasize in dramatic fashion that time can only tell, followed by small repetitions of ways in which it brings disappointment. So the emphasis that the Villanellian structure uses is when in lines 1 and 3 it ends in the same syllable, and for dramatic effect it ends with time will say nothing but I told you so, which brings upon our theme once again that time brings upon disappointment, as it refers to why the leaves decay. And in paragraph 2, our structure would begin with the topic sentence. The novel 1984 portrays in several instances the exemplary form of our theme, time brings upon disappointment. The quote we chose was, everything that you have undergone since you have been in our hands, all that will continue, and worse. And that was on page 268. This quote shows that yet again, when time passes and all in all everything concludes, the ending results in the same thing, disappointment. The novel alludes to this very theme. And finally, to tie things all together, essentially our connections between the poem and 1984 show that the lines between surveillance and privacy blur, and are bound to continue to blur with time, as it only brings disappointment. This foreshadowing is shown in 1984, as the book was written in 1948, and surveillance and privacy issues then were already hypothesized to bring disappointment in the future. Thank you. This was our privacy presentation.